Yo, Norf here. Today I'm going to be trying my hand and delving into a bit of the world of Jujutsu Kaisen in contrast to the My Hero Academia universe. Today I came up with an interesting matchup between Mirio Togata, or Lemillion, and Toji Fushiguro. Two characters who amongst their peers stand tall in terms of their physical ability, even without directly utilizing the power systems of their universe in a traditional fashion. I thought this was a pretty unique battle. It wasn't really a fight I could find anywhere on the internet, so I thought why not touch on it. Though I will preface this, I am more so of an expert on My Hero and not necessarily too knowledgeable on Jujutsu Kaisen, but I did do some research and based on what was easily accessible, made this video. And before I get into it, I want to ask that you go like and subscribe if you can. It's completely free and takes nothing off your back, and I'd really appreciate it. So let's get right into it. Mirio is a third-year student at UA High and is a member of the Big Three, the three most renowned hero course students in the school. Hailed as the pinnacle of the group, Mirio in his debut is said to be the closest person to being the #1 hero at that point. This even includes current pro heroes at that point, including Eraserhead and others. In his very first outing, he shows just how much weight this claim holds by soloing the entirety of Class 1A and defeating each member with a single punch. With his quirk Permeation, Mirio can make his entire body and portions of his body completely intangible, though doing so affects his body extremely negatively. When his head is intangible, light, sound, and air all pass through his body, meaning he can't see as light bypasses his eyes, he can't hear as sound bypasses his ears, and he can't breathe as air bypasses his nose and mouth. On top of that, his body is still under the effects of gravity when fully intangible. His body will fall through the world, essentially like a video game no-clip. And due to this, Mirio has had to work extremely hard to hone his skills and his ability to use his quirk. Mirio can eject himself at high speeds, similar to teleportation, while becoming intangible from within solid matter, as matter cannot overlap with matter. This leads to his ability to perform crazy fast and unpredictable attacks from unknown locations and angles. This has also caused for him to be an extremely skilled hand-to-hand fighter, as he can't see or hear using his quirk. He's had to learn a form of analytical prediction to be able to predict the movements and reactions of his opponents in close quarter combat. This is a skill he picked up from his mentor Sir Night-Eye, who had a literal foresight quirk that granted him precognition, the ability to see things before they happen. He was able, even without his ability, to fight Overhaul for 5 minutes while Overhaul is fully with his power, that allows him to not only one-shot Mirio with a single touch, but also control and morph the ground around him to attack him from several angles. Not to mention Overhaul is at this point acting under the idea that he can kill Eri and still repair her body, and Mirio is still able to protect her fully and not die while doing so. So 5 minutes might not sound that insane, but think about it. This is like a full UFC round against a supervillain with a crazy power, alongside his lackey, while you're just a regular guy with no abilities who has to protect a small child. Oh, and did I mention you were drunk? Yeah, this is actually a really crazy feat, and it goes really under the radar of people. Mirio's AP has been lowballed for a long time. The general scaling community has considered Mirio's feats against the near high-end Nomu to be unimpressive, and I don't really understand why it's the case. Mirio returns to the war arc with his quirk and is able to not once but many times perform great feats against the near high-end Nomu. And I don't truly understand why the idea that he wouldn't scale at all has come up, mostly in reference to Versus Battle Wiki. Nejire, another member of the Big Three, is able to hit near high ends and pin them down with her quirk. With this kind of feat generally being considered to damage the near high end, which is completely understandable, the near high ends have large island level scaling, and we know that their AP is generally tied to their durability and they are physically very powerful, so having the power to pin them down would logically scale to their physical ability, which is that of large island. But when Mirio is able to send them flying, it's believed that he can't even damage them for whatever reason. Keep in mind, Mirio blatantly states that he can't take them out in one shot, which makes sense. No one has been shown to one-shot high ends. But why does that imply he can't damage them? He also states that their toughness is off the charts, which could be interpreted as either durability or endurance, but regardless of which interpretation you subscribe to, I don't see why that means he can't damage them. Especially since when he says this, he's clearly comparing them to the stats of a common hero. He even punches one so hard that the Nomu is sent flying through the concrete of the ground and has to shake off the punch afterwards. This is mostly seen in the anime, which expands upon their interaction, but even after watching the anime and going back to look at it in the manga, you can see exactly what the manga was trying to portray, even if it didn't do it in great fashion. Funnily enough, when I seen this was the very first time I've ever watched a season 6 anime, and I'd always thought that the damage done on panel was from the Nomu's punch that Mirio avoided, rather than Mirio punching the Nomu. But as you can see, clear as day, Mirio is punching this Nomu and sending him far away while this Nomu is standing on the ground. I bring that up because Mirio punching high ends in the air has been used as a debunk to the idea that he actually scales to them or something, because they were falling out of the sky. But as we see in the anime, even those who have their base under them are still incapable of standing to Mirio's strikes. Now, I do understand that Mirio couldn't hurt Shigaraki, whilst Nejire could damage his weird growth quirk. I'm not saying Mirio's AP is like beyond Nejire's quirk, but I don't see why it'd be treated as though Mirio is a complete non-factor to the Nomu. when other characters can be viewed highly for their feats against Nomu when they don't seem that much greater, especially considering Nejire, in conjunction with Tamaki, with a high output attack, couldn't even leave a scratch on Shigaraki's body. It's pretty consistent that no one can really hurt Shigaraki besides the very high tiers. Keep in mind, near high ends are stated as strong as Hood, the original high end who could fight in her endeavor, and is stated above the USJ Nomu that could match a weakened All Might in terms of physical strength. All Might, of course, being comparable to early or incomplete Shigaraki's physicality, who could take Star and Strike's fist bump and also fight with Deku, who through the movie scaling should be large island level as well, with the movies being canon, of course. Not to mention the Nomu also surviving Star and Strike's fist bump, which also was calced in that same general region. Though if you don't like the idea of Mirio being able to hurt high ends, maybe it doesn't sound right to you or something. If your sense of credulity isn't quite there, he also is stated to be the strongest student without their quirk, putting him above the likes of Ochako and Tentacle, who can harm Toga and Spinner respectively, who should both scale to Redestro fight Shigaraki, who's able to take town level attacks after training with Gigantomachia, making this line of scaling town level or so. For speed, Mirio is able to outspeed the entirety of Class 1A, including 8% Deku. He was able to blitz Mr. Compress and outspeed Overhaul without him using his quirk. He could match near high ends in speed, and he was considered a nuisance by Shigaraki, so much so that he couldn't even land a hit on him and decided that the best course of action was just to ignore him. Yes, this would unironically mean that Mirio can react to and avoid a character who's as fast as All Might in his prime. This puts Mirio at the very least on par in speed with Star and Strike, who was able to dodge weaponized radio waves, which calced in at 79% the speed of light, or relativistic plus. This line of scaling, of course, disregards any scaling to Aoyama's laser, as I don't believe it's extremely definitive that his laser moves at light speed, though if you want to be generous and say it does, then of course a great deal of the verse would be upscaled, and Mirio would likely be some unquantifiable point faster than light, at least I would imagine so. On to Toji. Toji is a former member of the Zenin family and an assassin regarded as the sorcerer killer. Without curse energy, Toji relies on cursed tools spread fear to the ranks of the Zenin family. A former rival to Gojo, Toji is hailed by the fandom as one of the strongest characters in the JJK world. As stated earlier, Toji is not a typical curse energy user as usually seen in the JJK. Instead, he has zero curse energy and is a user of several curse tools. His curse spirit or inventory is a weird bug thing that stores his curse tools. These tools include the inverted spear of heaven, which can forcibly stop cursed techniques on contact, negating one's ability. The split soul katana, which lets Toji directly strike a target's soul. The chain of 1,000 miles is an infinitely extending chain. As long as the opponent cannot see the other end of the chain. He has fly heads, which are a swarm of insects that swarm to impair vision. And playful cloud is a staff that varies in strength based on the user. Toji is stated equal to Maki, and I'll be assuming that in any regard physically, including speed and physical strength, Toji has shown able to dominate Dagon within his own domain, which consists of an island and vast chunk of ocean, though I don't believe domain creation scaled to AP. And even if it did, this wouldn't even be an island level feat, strangely enough. It actually would be a town level feat, as opposed to the mountain level result shown on the calc, as the calc here uses the gravitational binding energy to come to its result, but that's something that's only used on celestial bodies like planets, stars, and etc. So when the proper components are used to do this calculation, you only end up with town level. Maki is, however, able to fight Sukuna, who scales to Gojo, whose mere release from imprisonment caused an earthquake calculated at large town level, with these two high tiers obviously being able to scale even higher with their attacks and their more powerful techniques. But for the sake of the video, we'll be saying scaling to Sukuna in this sense makes Maki and in turn Toji large town to small city level. As for speed, I won't be acknowledging the Mach 3 stuff as I think it's a pretty crazy low ball, and Maki's able to completely blitz bullets. And I do also think the high tier should comfortably scale to Kashima's lightning, as Hikari's feats in his domain was calced at massively hypersonic, with Sukuna being able to fight Kashima at his peak and even outspeed his attacks. There's also the weird light speed stuff that's been presented to me by JJK fans when asking around for this video. I've been shown feats from Sukuna's fight with Kashima and have no reason or explanation as to why it would ever mean he's faster than light. Not only are none of these attacks explicitly stated to be electromagnetic wave based, Sukuna blatantly aim dodges one that could arguably be believed to be one. I have no doubt that Kashima can fire electromagnetic waves, which would travel at the speed of light hypothetically, but there's just nothing showing that on panel explicitly. So I truly have no idea why this speed meta is thrown around so loosely. But even if this second attack here is an electromagnetic wave, again, we don't really see it fired on panel and Sukuna moving at the same time. So I can only ever assume that this is aim dodging as we see it powering up before it fires on the next panel. So the stats are in, let's move to the fight. We have Mirio ranging from town to a large island level on the high end, and Toji from large town level to small city level on the high end. Even if Mirio is given the high end, as far as durability goes, it would be irrelevant as Toji has the capacity to directly ignore ignore his durability and hit his soul. I won't talk about souls in My Hero, as I don't believe there are souls in My Hero personally, but I also think that if you're not going to assume characters' power systems can interact, then there's no point of having a versus battle discussion in the first place. It's kind of stupid. And yeah, I know people are going to bring up the vestiges of One for All and All for One and say that they're souls of the previous users, and I don't think there's any inherent issue with that. I think it's fine to believe that. There's just nothing truly backing that idea other than assumptions by fans. I mean, I personally feel as though vestiges are either the fragmented consciousness of the user or manifestations of their will, but if you want to argue that they are their souls, I don't really have too much of an issue with that. I just gave my personal opinion on it. Another factor in Toji's favor is his ability to negate Mirio's abilities with his inverted Spear of Heaven. The issue with that would be that he has to actually touch Mirio to engage its effect. So this kind of makes this ability to negate his ability irrelevant, since his ability is to not be hit, and you have to hit him to disable his ability. Kind of leaves a vacuum in Toji's arsenal, with the only real way of hitting an intangible Mirio being the soul split katana, which hits his soul directly. Toji still does have a win condition in this fight, though I don't believe that hitting his soul completely deals with the threat Mirio poses as a whole, as attacking the soul doesn't necessarily equate to one-shotting somebody. And we do know Mirio to have crazy endurance. An even further issue with all of this would be the idea of Toji even hitting Mirio with the large speed discrepancy, as Mirio far outclasses Toji's lightning speed scaling, as he himself nears the speed of light, with his ability to project himself from the ground even further exceeding that speed as he blitzes around the battlefield. And I don't want to seem as though I'm downplaying Toji's arsenal or skill. He's highly skilled in combat. He's able to fight the likes of Geto and Gojo, two of the most powerful sorcerers of their time, and constantly hunts down sorcerers without even having cursed energy himself. But I do believe even if they were at comparable speeds, Mirio's skill with his quirk would just come out on top, as he avoids Toji's strikes and attacks in ways that are completely unpredictable, and he either ends the fight in one shot or he just whittles Toji's down over time, depending on how you see their AP stacking to one another. And with a big chunk of Toji's arsenal being useless in this fight, as he can't physically touch Mirio, he's highly disadvantaged in this matchup, especially with the crazy speed difference. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like. If you disagree, feel free to leave a comment or click the link down below to come into my Discord server and we can have a conversation about it. Thanks for watching.